The Indigenous Voice to Parliament, speaking of the Prime Minister, he's seemingly softening his stance every day. He's now promising to provide further detail, creating a bipartisan committee to maximise support with the coalition for the referendum. Will this be enough to get the Liberal Party support, and what's your stance on it?
Well, yet again, this is Mr Albanese's signature policy. You would think that, this being his signature policy, he would be able to answer every single question that the Australian people are asking. And instead what we have from Mr Albanese is, trust me, it'll be all right.
What I don't understand is he has said multiple times that he believes that every sensible Australian will vote yes for this, that the majority of sensible Australians will support this. What is he so afraid of then? Why is detail scary? If he thinks that sensible Australians are going to support it.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I would say probably what reflects Mr Albanese's failure to date in particular is his fly-in, fly-out visit to Alice Springs, only to jump back on his plane and get taken over to the Australian Open, where he was prepared to spend 3 days enjoying himself and watching the tennis. You see, Erin, there are voices in Alice Springs that for months and months and months have been screaming out for action from Mr Albanese and the Labor government. But
yep, there was
Mr Albanese, correct, does
11
not listen
peak
to
bodies
those voices.
Sent Linda Bernier an email, a letter in June saying that this would be a disaster and they weren't listened to. No, I'm with you. We're on the same page here.
Correct, has been telling Mr Albanese this is an issue. But again, Mr Albanese doesn't listen to those voices. And then in my home state of Western Australia, you have an absolute tragedy playing out on the ground in the goldfields towns of Laverton and Leonora, directly attributable to a complete and total policy failure by the Albanese government. Erin, you recall that we had put in place the cashless debit card. That meant that you quarantined income and it could not be spent on, in particular, alcohol and drugs. You saw a complete change in what was happening in these towns. As Patrick Hill says, the president of the Shire of Laverton, the kids were getting fed. The domestic violence abuse was lessening. And yet, the Albanese government, in all of their wisdom, abolished the cashless debit card in these towns. Patrick Hill, as president of the town, has lived there for decades and decades and decades. He said to me, literally now, you know, people are lining up outside the local bottle shop because they now have the ability, the cash, to buy the alcohol. They are literally drinking bottles, for example, of Jim Beam as if they are Coke. The kids are not getting fed. The antisocial behaviour has returned. The fights on the streets are occurring. This is a direct result of a complete, total and utter disastrous policy failure by the Albanese government.
Yeah, you're shedding a light on something that needs a lot more focus and attention. Senator Michaelia Cash, I've got to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time after a very busy week. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Erin. Thank you.
Thank you.